teachers, we love it. Harsha, welcome you all. Welcome again back to the institution with the students, your junior batches. And I would now hand over it to Dr. Lama and Shri Harsha to take the presentation and the speak forward. So Harsha, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And it's indeed my honor to here. So I never knew this would. As a disclaimer, I want to have 3 points on board. So first one is I didn't have a laptop, so I had to do everything on mobile. So I'm sorry about Lama sir presenting and me talking like this. So somehow it didn't work down on phone. And secondly, to all the people who are watching, there's nothing from Google, or I've not referred to internet, and there's no definitions and such in this. So it's all based on my experience. So whatever I speak might be useful to you or might not touch you. So you can take whatever is useful to you out of this talk because it's mainly personal. And third of all, yeah, it's like most of the teachers would agree that I troubled them a lot. Probably Lama sir would can tell. So sorry about that. So to start off with, I've been freelancing since the last March 20th. So exactly 1 year from before when I started my freelancing career. I mean, technically, before that, I was also have been working. So until this March 20th, so I've been a part of many projects, and I worked as a documentary production manager for a lot of number of TV channels, and I also worked as an assistant director for a Doordarshan documentary, which is going to be coming soon. And mainly, I never thought that I would want to be here, so it all happened. So I'll just take you through my journey. So can we go to the next slide?
Yeah.
So regarding my past projects which I have worked with, so the most recent one was with Gordon Ramsay. I think you would know him. So this was for National Geographic Uncharted series, which would be coming this July. And we've also done a documentary for the Guardian channel of the UK. And my first documentary, which I was a part of as a for pre-production, was for the Ministry of Tourism. It's called The Path of Buddha. It was for the Turner TV channel from Warner Bros. Of Japan. And next was for the Globo TV. It was a documentary on the Ganga. Started from March 20th last year, 2019, when I left college. And after that, we also did a documentary with National Geographic Wild. So it was called India's Jungle Ghosts. So it's still airing. It's a 6-episode series coming every Friday. Start at PM. So probably this Friday as well you can watch it. So it's based on an NGO called Wildlife SOS. And for 3 months of this year, I was engaged on a research project as well with the National Geographic Society, which all happened by chance because each project is linked to other project, which I'll tell you how it is. And that was mainly into researching on how clean the Ganga is and what is actually polluting it. The research of that will be shared with the PMO, and it was done with the collaboration with National Geographic and Wildlife Society Institute of India. And I was also lucky enough to be an assistant director for a documentary on for DD Arun Prabha. So it's the first Doordarshan channel exclusively for Northeast. So even that is going to be airing soon. And we have also been a part of Netflix's My Next Guest with David Letterman and Shah Rukh Khan. So I was not part of the actual production, but I was also part of pre-production. So these are the past projects. So these are limited numbers, but I'll tell you how it all came. So can we go to the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would want to call this phase as connecting the dots, because all the projects which I've worked on has a bit of different phases of my life on how I actually picked up those skills. So let's say if I have, you can see the, sorry for the long, very bad slide, because I could do the max on this mobile phone. Started with Just Dial. Like the moment I turned 18, I wanted to work. I wanted to start working, and I wanted to always know how money works. So that's when I started working as a call center executive for like 6,000 rupees per month. So it was mainly for money, and also it gives you a different high when you start earning your first money. So that was a good experience. And the skill which I picked there was learning English. So what I'm talking today right now, I was a totally different person, like probably that was 2012. So 8 years ago, I was scared of what people would think of me or whatever it is. And so that was a short stint. And then I joined my engineering. And then I always loved cars. So I started driving a taxi. So that is a taxi which I started driving. So that I drove that for 1 year. And I used to do that for night shifts, and I used to do that on weekends. So it's just for the high of it, and not a lot of people knew about it because the dignity of labor in India is quite not that high. And also, I wanted to prove that point that anyone can do anything. It's just about skills. But I never knew that all these skills would somehow come into use in my life. So after that, I got bored of taxi. So being someone who gets bored very easily, I switched on to private driving. And the third picture you can see is I drove around 100 private cars. So it's a startup called DriveU. So just like how you can book taxis, you can book driver on your mobile phone. So it's still there in Delhi, NCR, and Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, all the other places. So I drove for one year like that on my part time during my engineering. So it was very fun time. I met a lot of people, and that was a time where I actually learned people skills, like talking to different people, how talking to varied kind of people, getting to know their careers, how the world exists. And eventually, I joined DriveU as my first job, official first job after engineering as a marketing executive, because I was never interested in IT. But then marketing didn't go too well, and entered Accenture for 3 months. And that's when I decided that sitting behind a computer was not something which I always wanted, because solo traveling was always my interest. So next. Yeah, so then came IITTM Noida. So after a lot of research with a plain sheet on my hand, so I just realized that travel is the thing I love. Apart from traveling, I don't like anything else. So IITM Noida came into picture, and Lama sir, in fact, was the one who took my interview. And we had a very inspiring talk. I still remember where I was still confused whether to join or not. And he initially told, like, you should join this institute. So that's when I decided that, because initially I was keen on IITM Gwalior, but then because of his decision, I mean his talk, Lama sir and Nanita ma'am, I chose to join IITM Noida. And after that, things changed a lot. So the moment we entered, it was me and another classmate of mine, Harish. So we were all jumpy and wanted to do something. So that's when we came up with this campaign called IITM. Branding IITM. So it didn't go for a long phase, but then it was just about a Twitter campaign, and thanks to all the cooperative seniors and the batchmates, so we could get the highlight of the Ministry of Tourism. So we got a lot of retweets from the Incredible India page as well. So that was my, parallelly, there was another event on Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, where the minister's phone was supposed to be handled for a live video, and I volunteered to do that. So during that phase, I entered ministry just to set up a Twitter page for the minister, and that's when I met the person who was retweeting our tweets. So the campaign was just about uploading a picture and telling uploading a picture of our college people of wherever they have gone, and then it was just a tag with Incredible India and IITM Noida. So it was not a big campaign or something which we thought would work, but we just wanted to do something with a collaborative effort. And I would want to thank Aditi ma'am here, and Pawan sir, and every other lecturer who supported in this. And even they got onto the platform, and some people who never knew about Twitter, even they got into the platform, and it was a really good response. So from then on, I went on to intern in Ministry of Tourism. And then after that, I I also did a part-time job at Decathlon. So Decathlon Indrapuram, which is near college. Everyone would know that. So next page. So, the reason behind telling all this was, I always believed in Steve Jobs' quote that you can't always connect the dots looking forward. You always have to look backwards and connect them. And I always believed that the dots would connect someday. And when I look back, it actually connects. And uh, the things I've been able to do in the past 1 year, every small job which I've had has an impact on it. And so I just had to trust that the dots will somehow connect, and it did connect in my future. So that was my way into freelancing. So yeah, this was a small story about it. So let's come into what actually freelancing means. So this is for the MBA juniors and the BBA juniors who is on the platform now. So if you have never worked in an actual job, I would always recommend you to go to working in an organization first, because that's always a base. Because without learning that, because that requires a lot of discipline. You have to get up every day on time, and it has to be done in a cyclic way, in a routine way. So probably I've met a lot of people, and about 75% of the people like doing that because it gives them into routine. But the other 25% I've seen want to get out of that because they somehow get bored doing the same things, like someone like me who gets bored very easily. So if you're working for an organization, you can just see there, I've written that security is, I mean, the base is security. You're getting your monthly salary, and there's always a scope to do mistakes. And yeah, everyone has to do mistakes, and that's how you actually learn. So, and also synergy, like you get to talk to a lot of your coworkers, and the coworkers remain the same. So you get to always build personal relationship. So if you're someone of an introvert and takes a long time to open up to people, then I think you should definitely start working for an organization first. And also, there's a fixed. I don't. I mean, I was wrong about typing fixed rewards. I typed this like a day ago. So I was just thinking about it. There's nothing like fixed reward, because the better you perform, you're gonna rise higher, and it's all in your hands. But then coming down to freelancing, the path which I chose, because I already had a experience in working for an organization and I wanted something different. And jumping into entrepreneurship was not in my hands because of financial issues. And again, it's a high risk thing, and you need to be sure about what you're going to do. So I chose the middle path, just like how the Buddha said. So freelancing is the middle path which people can choose. Like you can also directly jump into it. So mainly the core aspect of freelancing which I like is the freedom which comes along with it. So you can see that I've written the soul quote, that freedom is the oxygen of the soul. So I mean, you can always do the things which you love when you have that freedom. When you know that if you don't like a project, there's always an end goal which you can see. Like thankfully, I've all the projects I've taken up have been very interesting and had a very interesting learning experience. But there has been one project which I don't want to name, which I wanted it to end soon because it was quite tiring and it was not up to my liking. So I always saw that end, the hope at the end of the tunnel was right there, the ending of the project. So I had to give in my hard work until then. So that is the freedom I always crave for. And opportunity for a freelancer is unlimited, tell you, because there are a lot of jobs, a very high paying jobs, which requires high skilled talent, but most of them are like probably working in an organization and they can't give time to actually freelance. So there are certain jobs which require only freelancing. So my job, which I do, the documentary production, it is mainly freelancing job because a lot of TV channels wouldn't want to hire production managers as an employee because a lot of TV channels don't produce shows on the go, certain kind of genre. So it's kind of a liability to them. And hiring someone as a freelancer, you also get diversity. So that's what they're looking into. And it's also a moderate risk one because sometimes there's been times where I don't have a project for 2 months at a stretch, but I've used it up as in doing tour guiding that time. And also moderate rewards, not as high as owning a business, but again it's definitely more financially rewarding than the organizational setup which I work with. So with the normal salaried structure. So that is one thing I want to tell about freelancing. And about entrepreneurship. You would obviously know that's the high risk, high responsibility, and high rewards. So that's the peak. And I would recommend everyone to start working for an organization first, build a base. And in fact, a very good organization is a one where the CEO actually promotes you to go into the entrepreneurship mode. So most of the good companies I've worked with always encourage their employees to be an entrepreneur within the organization. So that's what everyone has to be looking for. I think most of the seniors here would agree to it who has already had the working experience. So there's a popular saying that people don't quit jobs, they quit managers. So that's actually true because a manager is someone who motivates you to be to show that freedom, the path of freedom. If it's someone who's always demeaning you and not showing an end path, that's when people start quitting. And once you come into the freelancing stage, it's always a good platform to jump into entrepreneurship, which I've been thinking right now because of the COVID scenario. The international business is going to be stopping for at least a year, according to my estimates. So I think there's a good time to start up. So I'm just waiting for the lockdown to get over. And yeah, so this is about what actually freelancing means. So next slide. Yeah, so this is, I name it freelancing 101 because these are the five things which I've always followed to be on the top. I mean, at par with the other people who are there because it's a constant competition. Once you're a freelancer, you're going to be competing with a lot more people who are higher skilled than you, but it's all about being there at the right time, at the right moment, and also having that strong backing. So the first one is to all the juniors or whoever is there, start picking up skills, like any skills, be it any skills. Like if you like reading, start doing that more. If you like teaching someone, start doing that more. So like how I wanted my English to be a skill, how wanted communication to be a skill, which I have still not perfected yet because you can see that I've started talking very quickly. So that's a skill I'm improving on. But again, we always have a base. So if you want to like post lockdown, I also want to be a mechanic now because that's what I always dreamed of. So I want to pick up skills. You never know where it's actually going to help you. And coming to second one, it's curiosity. Like without curiosity, you can't do anything in life. Like you need to be curious about everything. The questioning of everything should be constantly going on about why. So it can be a stupid why. It can be like, why is this wheel moving? So it can sound stupid, but you need to keep asking why. So the moment you start asking why, that's when you start digging more. And the moment you're curious, you'll start picking up a lot of knowledge. And you don't do it for sake of picking up knowledge. You do it for the sake of quenching your thirst of curiosity. So that's what I've learned in the past 1 year, that asking why, even it's at stupidest times, doesn't hurt, because you might seem stupid at that moment, but further down the line, you would have learned something which no one would have ever learned. And the third would be upgrading self. So let's say if you've picked up a skill, you need to start working on it, like start giving time to it every day, which I have been struggling to do. But again, it's a goal which I want to achieve soon. So it's a constant effort. And fourth is going the extra mile, which I always believe in, because everyone can do the work which you're assigned to do, but no one would go that extra mile which no one expected you to go. Because going from A to B is always an expectation. So you have to, like, if you take up a project or if you are assigned a work, you always have to go from A to B, but no one expects you to go for that B.5 or B to C, which always will create a greater impact. So an example would be, so let's say this is a vague example. So if once the project gets over, what I usually do is I always throw them a party or throw them a treat, the entire team from my side, because it is always, I mean, there's always a mutual learning, and someone has to take that initiative. We don't want to end things abruptly. And the moment you start taking initiatives, be it tiny initiative. So let's say, you give someone a coffee, you also give them a option of sugar or not. So that also can be going an extra mile. And the last one is proactiveness, which again is coming into the form of going the extra mile. Proactiveness can be anything. So let's say you want to help someone, go start doing it, don't think. So that comes under proactiveness as well. So all these 5 skills will take you a long way, because freelancing is like literally a competition. Because the moment you are mediocre, people will start kicking you out, because there's always another person who's better than you. So these are the 5 things which I always thought that would help me. So next slide. Yeah. So coming on to what I actually do. So this is how my project works. I mean, usually I don't know about, because freelancing has different aspects, but I just generally researched about all the other kind of freelancing projects, and these are the general criteria which you have to meet. So let's say if you want to start freelancing right away, so you can just divide it into 3 parts. One is the pre-projects, where you actually get to know what the project is. So okay. So yeah, you actually talk with the people who are giving you the project, and you get to know that in detail. So you start researching more. So the moment you get project, it's not like you start working on it. You always take a day or two off. You start researching more on it. So here the internet comes to a great help. Anyone can be a great researcher. You don't have to be have to go to library, which is again a good practice, but somehow I didn't pick it up. I always go to internet first, and you research about what you're doing, research the past, research the future, research everything what you're going to be doing. And then according to my job, what I do, the production management. So I'm mostly into recceing, finding out locations, which I'm all coordinating with the producers, directors, and the technicians, and finding out that perfect spot where we can actually shoot, and setting up interviews, taking permissions before shooting. And also I do technical stuff as well, because of my engineering background, which helped me in editing and knowing the camera. So, and then after all these things, you have to sign the agreement. So if you're getting into freelancing, it's a very important step, because you might think that you're going on goodwill, but at the end of the day, it's a business deal. It's not a friend you're doing a favor to. It's a business deal at the end of the day. You might be all good, you might be all goody, but then signing an agreement is an important step, which I missed once. And then I had a very bad experience with my payments, where the things promised were not delivered. So signing the agreement is a very important step. And once I mean, if you come to that, you can just contact me. I'll let you know how the agreement should be, or just a random search on the internet would also give you a specific agreement format. And yeah, deliverables. So you should, before getting into a project, so because every freelancing project goes a fact that you start and you end it, and after that the association with the company is no more with that project. You might be associated with them personally or professionally, but for that project you need to know what you need to be delivering. So you need to make a list of things which are required and which are supposed to be done for that project. And yeah, advance payments is always good to ask, because it brings up your market value as well. Because if you're someone who's doing work without advance payment, it looks like you're not professional enough. So just to, it's like a life hack. So anyone can do this. Just ask for an advance payment, and that shows that you are kind of professional and already dealt with it. So even though you are not done it before. So, and once you get onto the project, be it any project. So if you're freelancing on solo, as a solo freelancer, probably you wouldn't be dealing with this. But if you're freelancing in the documentary industry or the movie production, or in fact traveling as well, you need to know your team. You need to know them beforehand, because you can't. Each team member can't ditch each other, because individually you can do only so much, but as a team you can do something which multiplies, which I didn't understand during my college time. But the moment I exited IITTM, because I remember Aditi ma'am always telling me this, and she was always specific about being a team player, which I was not, because I was always trying to be a solo person probably. And the moment I exited, I realized the value of it. So people who are still in college, if you are still being heard, or if you're still being told, try to start making teams and start working as a team. Because once you exit college, you never get the opportunity to experiment. You always fail and then you learn, which failing is not a good sign once you exit college, because in college you have number of options to fail. So second is crisis management, which is always there. You need to like think in the future 1,000 times, chalk out all the possible options. You should know from first aid to what could go wrong to what could go right, and think of all the possible options. And yeah, when you're on the project, you should enjoy the journey, which is a must. If you're not enjoying, then you're not doing it properly, probably. And yeah, after the project, you always ask for feedback from the person who has given you the job, which usually they will give. But if they're not giving, that means there must be some lacking part which you would have done. So it's always good to do that. And networking, which I'll come to in the next slide, which networking, yeah, and staying in touch, that's also part of networking. And going the extra mile, which I always talked about. So this is about how the project works. So next. So this is just an example of what I do. So this was for the left one you see on the left is a permission letter which I got from India Tourism Kochi while shooting for the Gordon Ramsay project. So this coincidentally happened because of going the extra mile. The same person, Miss Sandhya Haridas, she was in Ministry of Tourism, and when I was interning, so she was in a different department altogether. But I always interacted with her, and we used to have a talk regarding general tourism scenarios. So this actually helped me. So I could just get in touch with her directly uh, for this document, which actually helped us a lot in during filming. And on the right is permission from the Karnataka department, because any TV shoot which you're doing, there's always a team of a lot of cameramen, a lot of sound recorders, and it's going to be a huge team, and it attracts a lot of crowd usually. So police are some people you should be aware of during this. You should be knowing a bit of Indian laws as well. So this is one of the kind of job I do. So next. This is also dealing with the MEA, and on the right is a list of equipments which they use for the documentary. So this was for the Gordon Ramsay project itself, which will be aired in July. So you can see there's so many details. So giving attention to details is something which you start learning, and that can be as small as knowing how to cook. The moment you start cooking is because that's where I start giving attention, because that's something which I really fail at. So the moment you start giving attention to everything, your life starts improving. And as a freelancer, attention to details is of high necessary, because you're on your own. The moment you screw up, there's no one else on your backing. Just in case, like in your organization setup, you might have your colleagues, but here there's always a new colleague every time. So it's always better to look into the details. And so next. And yeah, this is how we set the schedule. So this is what we call a call sheet, where every detail for the day is given. And next, yeah, this is how the schedule for a production works. And this can, as you can see, I don't know, I'm on my mobile. This is going from 6 a.m. in the morning to 6:30 a.m. In the morning. It goes till 7, 8 in the night. So one thing which I want to tell, that during freelancing, you are working from morning till evening, be it any job. Like if it's an outdoor job which I am into, it's kind of very taxing. But also the best part is it's all only during that work. So there's going to be always a less deviation, and you're going to be giving 100% in your job, because you're going to be in the job full time. And the moment the project ends, it's going to be like full free time. So it's like exact opposites. So you're going to be seeing a lot of sinusoidal waves, like extreme happiness to extreme sadness to extreme adventure to no adventure at all. So this is the kind of life I've been leading since 1 year. So next. And yeah, this was the team which we worked with for. You can also see one of our batchmate Harish, who was also part of our team. Next. Yeah. So coming to networking, uh, the first project which you get is always the hardest. So there's no amount of networking can help you until you have a strong skill or a strong base or a strong connection. So the first project should always have your own backing, but after that, networking is going to act as a catalyst. I'm pretty sure all the seniors would know about this, how networking is so useful, how knowing a person, not just by their names or contact numbers, about on personal basis on what they do, what their likes are, what my likes are. So it's about building a personal relationship, and networking is just the way for your next project if you are into freelancing. So next slide. Yeah. So these are just the key words which I could get on for networking. And I don't know if it's the same in textbooks, but this is something which I abide by. So the first one I would want to talk about is win-win situation. Win-win is not just about networking. So it can be in any aspect in your life. You should always look for a win-win situation where the other person you're talking to or want to do business with is getting benefited, and even you are getting benefited. Because most of the times I see people who are wanting to get benefit for themselves, but they fail to see what the other person benefits, and that's where we fail in networking, I believe. Because I was going to a lot of conferences, and probably I had a lot of things to tell, but uh, I never saw the other side as well. So that's where I failed at networking, and none of them actually turned into a fruitful conversation. So I just thought that I knew that person, but probably he would have forgotten me because there was no connection. So win-win situation is what you should be actually looking for in any situation in life, where the other person benefits and you benefit as well. And there's one more kind of situation where it's called the lose-win situation, where it doesn't matter if you lose, but the other person should have a winning aspect. So the other person should benefit. This works a lot of times, but again, it's going to be very taxing on you, and it can also look like you're a conman, because the moment someone starts helping you a lot without any preemptive motive, it looks like they're either cheating or they either like you very much. So you should know this when you should use this kind of a skill, because this lose win is nothing but being proactive, helping them just for you, just because you have to help them. Because I can connect this with the word namaste. I always abide by it, and I researched about namaste only after I got into IITTM, and this was because of the Incredible India, a book which I read by Mr. Amitabh Kant, which everyone should read, about the story of our tourism industry. So namaste is such a deep word because you're saluting the soul in them, and this concept of soul in the Indian tradition is that it is you're saluting the regeneration of the soul, the amount of learning which the soul which would have had, which is not shown in the person as you're talking, but you're respecting the soul. So respecting the soul in the sense is you're creating a good karma the moment you start respecting someone. So if you start thinking in that way, that it's all karmic, and anything good you do shouldn't always have to be reciprocative. So lose win situation is something which will work very much good in your life if you have the right intention. So it's all about the intention which matters. And yeah, looking into their eyes when talking to someone, I've seen a lot of people who get distracted a lot. If you're talking to me, I would expect you to give your all attention to me, and that's the only time when I think that you're convincing, because I have a lot. I used to do this. I used to talk to someone, but being someone who gets distracted very easily, I would always look somewhere else, and that would instantly cut the connection, which is very detrimental to the networking aspect. So, I mean, the one hack I actually tried doing it is start noticing the color of their eye when you're talking to them. So that's, I mean, it's a hack if you're someone who's getting very distracted, and you wouldn't notice their eyes. In fact, if you're not interested to talk with them, so start being genuine. So that's where genuine or slash pure, which I've written, comes into picture, because earlier I used to try networking with everyone thinking probably I would want them somewhere in the future or meet them somewhere in the future, but then I realized it's of no use. So being genuine and being really respectful or wanting to learn from the other person will help you in networking. And yeah, so it's always more about them than you, because there's one aspect which I learned. I mean, this might be ironic to the situation right now because no one else is talking and I'm the only one who's talking. So, but again, if it's an open audience, I would always want the other people in the audience to speak up as well. So I don't think this opportunity can be given here. So yeah, coming to a conversation, it has to be always more about the other person. So I mean, be it your personal relationship as well. If it's about your uh, be it your girlfriend or your boyfriend or anyone, the moment the relationship starts working is only when you ask more about them rather than keep telling about you. I mean, just think about it. How would the other person feel great or feel important only when you are really curious about what they are into, or about their lifestyle. If you keep blabbering about your own self, your own skills, your own past history, which I'm doing right now, which I'm really sorry about, there's no other option. Yeah, so it should always be about them as well to actually interact. The more, I mean, that comes to a part of listening, which I learned because of my uh, because of the kind of situation I was in. I come from South India, Bangalore, and initially I didn't know Hindi at all. So because of which I couldn't talk at all. I couldn't talk to a lot of people, and that actually came as a blessing. So I started listening more to everyone because I have to decipher every single word. So now I understand a bit of Hindi, and that's come to my advantage because I have a very funny Hindi, broken Hindi, which people think it's funny and give me more attention. So while talking to a bureaucrat or someone, apart from that, it taught me the lesson of listening, which I was not at all doing when I was in back in Bangalore, where I was comfortable with my local language Kannada or with English, and Hindi was never an option at all. So it came as a blessing to me. So this is the aspect of networking which I put into every time, and there might be thousand more aspects. So please look into it. This is not like the dictionary of networking. I'm just telling with my own experience. So yeah, coming to next slide. Yeah, why freelancing and who is it for? So as I told, freelancing might not be for everyone. So if you're listening to it, it shouldn't be like you should like the concept of freelancing. You are free to hate it. You are free to not like it. It's your own choice, because it's everyone's choice. No one has to do whatever other person has to tell. It's about sharing knowledge and receiving whatever you want. So first is working with different teams. um, Past 1 year, it's been a teamwork in all the projects. And sir, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, so these are the different teams which I work with. And I just realized today when yesterday when I was making this I was taking out this photo, I realized that I have made a personal bonding with each and every one of them in that short duration. That actually came, I mean, which wouldn't have happened if I was staying in a single organization, because we eventually try to find mistakes of other people as and when we spend more and more time with them. But these limited time, like let's say for one team it was just 2 months. For one team it was 2 months. One on the extreme left. The one team, the top right, it was in Northeast, where we spent for like 2 weeks together. And bottom right was my first project, where we spent for like 2 weeks together. So I've built a lot of personal relationship which will go for a long way. So this is about working with different teams. So if you like something like this, you should get into freelancing. Previous slide, sir. Yeah. And the second is freedom, which I already spoke about. And if you're someone who gets bored very easily doing a routine work, yes, freelancing is something which you should try, because every time you are doing different work, and none of the work is same. So it's very interesting, and you enjoy weekdays more than you enjoy weekends where it's all crowded. This is the best thing, because dream of going to tourist places or going to any museum or any other activity when during the weekdays where it's not crowded, where there's very peaceful. And it's in the last 1 year because of my kind of work. So that is some very big advantage of freelancing. And you're always constantly learning, because once you end a project, you have learned something new, and for the next project, you'll be research, and you also get to work with other freelancers who are always upgrading with the new skills. So it comes as a motivation to you. So you always have someone to get motivated, and you also get to choose your own projects and be independent. So just like how a entrepreneur would be independent doing what he loves, sure, you get to be independent as well. Some constraints may make you accept projects because of financial aspects. So yeah, this is about why freelancing and why it's for you. So next and next. Yeah, and why freelancing might not be for you. So this is again the first one is uncertainty. You never know where your project is coming from. So you might have contacts, but again, if there's no projects around, you don't know. Like you might not time. That's it. So, but with uncertainty comes a lot of adventure and a lot of skill which you will learn, and a lot of money, because you will, which I'm very bad at. The moment I have money, I tend to spend it, and slowly you will learn once you get into it. Like eventually I somehow learned it, I guess. And if you're someone who fears risk, then start off with, don't jump into freelancing, because it's kind of risky, in the sense you might not succeed at it probably, or you might have to wait for projects, you'll have to do a lot of pitching of work. So start with a organizational setup first, and if you want to miss a lot of meetups with your friends, then yes, you're gonna be missing a lot of festivities, because you never know. And once you're constantly traveling, you're in a different location, at least in my work. So and also lockdown bins. Amazon Prime project which got cancelled because of the international travel ban, and I don't know what's gonna happen the next 6 months or 7 months, which is good. With certain uncertainty again, so I can always pick up my skills and get back to doing what I like, given I can uphold with my financial constraints. So yeah. Apart from this, why you shouldn't be a freelancer? There's nothing more, I guess. Yeah. Next slide, sir. Yeah. So right now, if you have not, if it was too much for you, if whatever I told has been too much and doesn't matter to you, this is one life hack you should know right away, and is very important. Probably this can only be the best single takeaway for you if you want. Next slide, sir. Ask. So this is just one simple word that has helped me throughout my life. The moment I started solo traveling, I was someone who was scared to ask people, talk to people. But then I read an article which said asking is what gets you things, and that has been true for my entire journey. And this is something which works phenomenally. Like you just have to ask. You're gonna lose nothing. You're gonna gain nothing. You're gonna get everything, and you're not gonna lose anything. So one simple example how this entirely turned around my career path is, I was looking into an office kind of a job. I always feared freelancing, because freelancing was a dream and entrepreneurship was the biggest dream. But being in an organization set up just after IITM was my plan. But then one moment during that Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, I just asked the personal, he was the PA of the minister that time, Mr. Alphonse. I just asked him if he needs help with recording the video on his phone. That's all I asked, because I was in the mode of traveling. Probably I was too motivated as as a college going kid, and that changed everything, because after that it was a chain and series of events which was all based on that. So if you ask about budget, this was it. Just by asking about that, I could go meet the minister one day, and then I got to intern in Ministry of Tourism, and from there I met a person who was working with the documentaries, who wanted me to work on Incredible India project. From there I got onto a Nat Geo project. So you see, only because I asked. And you can ask anything at any point of time to anyone as far as it's not humiliating them or not in a negative aspect. So this is something which everyone should start following, and that really change your life. Like let's say you get caught by a police on the road, you just ask why instead of a victim, and you try to explain it. So it can be a life-saving thing as well. So asking is the biggest thing which I would want everyone to learn. So that would clear up everyone's life. Next one, sir. Yeah. So coming to the post-COVID world, the what I've freelancing is also called as the gig economy, and I was doing a lot of research to know how the world will look after post-COVID, because I mean, this might be the hard pill to swallow, but there's going to be a lot of job losses in terms of travel industry. It's not going to be coming up soon. Very, I mean, you always got to be thinking realistically. Being a kind of virus which is going to take a long time, there's going to be a huge boost to domestic tourism in short, and there's going to be a huge boost to the kind of way we travel, which I guess you would have been reading. And one aspect which I want to tell is the gig economy. Most of the companies would prefer freelancers because as an employees, they might think you as a liability if you're not working, and as a freelancer, they might get onto you as for a project. And I might be wrong, so people can give me counter questions as well. I'm not telling this is right. This is just my view. So I think people should start thinking in terms of everything as a project, their work as a project. So let's say you can start doing this right away in your work. So let's say you want to market a certain destination, take the pad as a project, put a put a B, put a start mark, put a end mark, and everything between it, you chalk a plan. And the moment you finish it, that's your end of a project within the company. So that way you can start doing better work and more work rather than aimlessly going around thinking about the ending, which I was doing earlier. But the moment I got onto freelancing, I started thinking everything in terms of A to B. So that helped me a lot. So the gig economy is, according to me, is going to be booming. So you might want to jump over from your companies into freelancing mode as well. So there's always hope. That's what I tell people. And yeah, next I think this will be the end of it. So yeah, let's connect. So in case you want to talk to me, I'm accessible on Facebook, Instagram. I had a website as well, which got down earlier, and I didn't notice it. Anyhow, I didn't like the website very much, so I'm gonna coming out with a new website, and that's my number, WhatsApp number. So you can always contact me anytime. Yeah, so I think I finished it in 45 minutes. 47 minutes. I wanted to be 45 minutes. So yeah, I am open for questions just in case. And I'm sorry for taking a lot of your time. Yeah.
Thank you, Harsha. It's been great listening to you for the last 45 minutes or so. And I hope it's
Thank you
been
so
a great learning for the current students. The key takeaways, I would say, is the word called networking, primarily because a lot of the students may not even be thinking about it, thinking about freelancing. Then one thing which caught my attention was looking into the colors of the eyes of the person with whom you're speaking. That is something interesting. Then, of course, the biggest takeaway for me would be to be a team player. Now, all the students are listening here. Harsha has told us very aptly that institute life, college life is the best life to experiment with your team playing things. That's precisely the reason we give you a lot of assignments, which are basically team building exercises as well. So you can experiment here in the institution, real life scenario. Post college will not do that in the university. And of course, be a good listener. Then the catch what you said, ask. Not only to the policemen, but to the college teachers and everyone in your life.
Yeah.
And of course, the gig economy, which might be one of the future prospects in the times to come post-COVID. Because we believe at least it will take at least a year to recover from where we have been till say 1st of March. So I would open the session to all the students for questions. Put on your mic and ask the question one by one, right? Is it audible to everyone? Any questions? Abhimanyu, your voice is not coming up. Avigyan, your voice is not coming up.
Yes, sir. Sir, I actually, very good morning, sir. Lama, sir, everybody. And I would like to thank you, Shreyas, and the entire management who came up with this decision. And I'm so happy to see you all after so long.
Uh,
And
yeah.
yes, sir. And I just wanted to thank Shreyasha for this informative session. It is really a great session and I learned a lot of things. Asking was the biggest takeaway. Ask things that will open doors. And I just wanted to thank you. I had no questions. I am in contact with Harsha, and fortunately, I'll talk to him on this. But I just wanted to thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Thanks, bro. Welcome.
Anyone else has a question? I think we should have lots and lots of questions.
I think there's a question by Pratik who says, Harsha sir, what difficulties you faced before starting this venture? It's not a venture because I don't own a company. I work for different companies, different production companies. So they hire me as a freelancer. So difficulties in the sense, it all happened uh, uh, in a flow. Difficulties have been coming since 8 years in different kind of jobs, and probably without difficulties, I wouldn't have learned. So to give an example, once I went to Uti and I didn't have a room to stay. I had to sleep in the car, which taught me that you don't have to fear about going sleeping on the road. I mean, you can sleep anywhere. So that was one difficulty which gave me a solution for my problem. So yeah, so without difficulty, nothing would have been possible. So every difficulty is a learning.
Thank you, sir.
Great, great. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, sir. Tapas this side from BBA sixth semester. Am I audible?
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
speak.
you're audible.
Yeah. Thank you very much to management and Sri Harsha sir for this beautiful speech. Sir, I have a small question that you have taught us a lot about your network marketing and everything. But still, I'm not sure about like what exactly is your work in that organization. Like you have told us that you are in the production part, but I'm a bit curious about to know that what exactly is your work on the field.
So, documentary production manager would be every documentary needs. I'll tell you the kind of team which has ideal team. So there would be camera person who are there to capture what's there in front of you, and there would always be a sound man who is there to capture the sound. Because I mean, this works nothing different from your normal video recording, but this is much more professional where it has to have a different quality and every TV channel expects different kind of specifications. So there's also going to be a director because every video needs a director because there's going to be viewed by millions of people. Because if you take the Nat Geo show, The Jungle Heroes, it is aired in 195 countries. So it has to be up to perfection as to how it has to be showed. So it requires a director, and there's always a producer on the show as well, who is in charge of setting up things and managing the team. So I work as a producer sometimes as a document. So it's also called as a producer slash executive producer slash documentary production manager, where you make sure before the documentary is shot, you see what places are worth to be shot at, and the necessary permission has to be taken, the logistics has to be taken care of, the hospitality part has to be taken care of the team. So you're like managing a team of 7 to 8 people minimum always. And you also need to see what special needs are there to be done for that documentary, and you need to be on this field every time. And before filming begins, you need to make sure the people who are required are on the are at the place, and you need to make sure the necessary releases are taken care of, and you need to take permissions from the government authorities. You need to and after the at the end of the day, you can also be part of someone who manages the data. You can also be someone who is part of editing team. You can also be someone. I go into post production, mainly in the production and the pre production as well. So it's a different role every time based on different documentaries.
Thank you very much, sir. It was great listening to you.
Welcome to it. There's one more question. What all social media platform do you use for lead generation? Also, what tool do you use for specific platforms? Oh, no. There's not lead generation. There's not multi-level marketing. So I use my social media only for personal connect. So this is basically getting yourself into a role where you can be part of managing the team who's doing the documentary. So that is the work. So at the end of the so you should all start observing the title credits at the end of each show at whatever comes on TV channels. So you'll see different roles. There's a colorist, there's a sound recordist, there's a cameraman, there's a producer, there's the executive producer, there's an assistant director, then there's someone who's only for casting. So under that comes documentary production manager, and assistant director is someone who assists the director, which I have done on one project. So in detail, and there's one more question. What are the thoughts on branding ourselves? And according to you, what is the best platform to do that? Thank you for this question. Branding yourself, again, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp is all that you have and all that you need. You can brand in any other platform as well. As far as you can, if you can touch people and get across to them that you can do that work, then I think that's about branding. My question: considering the current situation, what would you suggest us to deal with anxiousness with respect to our career, be it freelancing, be it any regular job? Even I am anxious, so probably Pawan sir and Lama sir probably, or any other faculty or seniors can help you out with this. Even I'm anxious. I don't know what to do after the COVID ends, because our jobs are also at stake. But then I'm hopeful.
We have a session on it tomorrow.
Yeah.
We have a session on it tomorrow, and Ankita Saxena, passer of 2008 and batch, she'll be dealing with it tomorrow.
Oh, thank you, sir. I'll attend that, sir.
Yeah, sure. So any more questions? We are almost coming to the end of the session. We almost now almost 58 minutes gone by. So we have 2 more minutes, and you have one more question, Asha.
How engineering help you in present day's work as a engineer? Mr. Sandesh had asked. So in terms of knowing how the camera works, how the editing works, engineering quite helped me. So since I did electronics engineering, it was not a rocket science for me, because there's a lot of technicalities while you go into sound recording, and you need to be, since you're going to be next to the person who's handling all the devices, you're also going to be assisting them. So I've not got into a phase where I'm actually handling the camera or the sound, because that requires a lot of expertise when you're going into the TV media. So I've got the opportunity to be an assistant to them, which again is a great opportunity, and anyone can be that. Like, if you have your interest there, if you do your research, anyone can do that. It's not specific to anyone.
Right. So with this, we come to the end of the first session, the maiden session, and I'm happy to say that we started off with you, Harsha, because you are from the last passed out batch. So I wanted the latest one to be the first one to enter into this series of alumni speaks.
Thank you, sir.
I hope everybody has enjoyed. Stay at home, stay safe, and we'll meet tomorrow at 12:30 with a new person and a new session. And I'll share the details with you all on your. Lama sir already put up on the screen. Tomorrow we have a session on mental health and corporate scenario, which will be taken up by Ankita Saxena. So I hope everybody has enjoyed it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So see you all tomorrow at 12:30.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Stay safe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Pawan, sir, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Asha. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you guys. Yeah.
Thank you, Raman, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
The host